Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Firdaus bin Suhaimi. My matric number is 1180590. So today our group will be presenting the topic the challenge for a global Islamic capital market. So firstly, the Islamic capital market refers to the market where activity does not contradict with Islamic perspective. So the ICAM is an expression of Islamic law in the transaction of the capital market, where the market is devoid of forbidden activities and components such as riba, maisir, and gharar. So next, the potentials of the Islamic financial system (IFS) are attracted by the public, academics, professionals, including Muslim and non-Muslims, to the system. The interest in Islamic finance arose not just from Islamic markets and jurisdiction, but also from non-Muslim markets and investors. For example, countries such as Australia, China, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and so on. So all these countries have taken all the steps necessary to include Islamic finance in their financial systems. There are various kinds of Sharia-conforming goods are constructed in accordance with Islamic financial contracts on the sukuk market. There are 8 types of goods. So the first one is the securitization of the tangible assets, which means ijara. The second, the current lease assets, or the one that is to be acquired. So next, the pre-sale of services, which means ijara. And fourth, the pre-sale of production of goods and goods at a future dates, which means forward sale. So the next, the financing of construction, which means istisna or building contract. So next, finance the purchase of future goods to be sold, or murabaha. Next, to fund capital participation in the business investment activities, we can call it mudarabah or musyarakah, or partnership. And for the last, to fund various asset acquisition and agency management, which means wakalah or agency. So we go to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ahmad Shahid bin Salahuddin, 1180571. Today I would like to present about effect and problems for a global Islamic capital market. First, for the effect, Islamic institution has lack of opinion views. During the recent crisis, these institutions offer products that limit excessive leverage and destructive financial innovation, thereby ensuring macroeconomic stability. Second, rely on leverage and have undertaken significant risk. Islamic banks have fund Western corporation, some of which have risky profile and low credit rating, without conducting the need due diligence. And the third one is Islamic banks have avoided the subprime exposure, but they are subject in second round. Islamic banks were not affected based on a close link between financial and productive flows. However, the protracted duration of the crisis affected as well, because Islamic banking contracts are based on asset-backed transaction. Second, for problems to overcome into the market against well-established jurisdictions all over the world. Second, to educate the masses and the other industry stakeholders regarding Islamic capital market, such as financial principle, products and investment. Third, motivate authorities to provide favorable platforms and policies. This is to make such initiative viable. Fourth, subjected to strange rules. The Islamic financial operation are subjected to strange rule different from the ones applicable to the conventional operations. Next, height in profit sharing. Almost all of the Islamic banks have resorted to those techniques of financing. As a result, murabahah and musyarakah are quite absent in their practices.
For the evolution of the Islamic capital market, it has three phases. Which is the phase 1 is from 1983 to 1992. It is the period of discovery. In the early phase of Malaysia Islamic financial system growth, the Islamic capital market played a modest role. The Islamic Banking Act of 1983, the Bank Islam Malaysia Act of 1983, and the Takaful Act of 1984 were all passed at the first setup in 1980. In the 1990s, more corporations and other entities began to use the capital market to support their operations, which was a significant development. In phase 2, is from 1993 to 2001. It is the period of acceptance. In year 2000, the market has seen the creation and subsequent issuing of a variety of Islamic capital market instruments, including debt and equity securities. At phase 3 is from 2002 until today. It is the period of strategic development. At 2002, kumpulan Guthrie Berhad issued the first worldwide corporate Islamic bond, signalling a turning moment in the liberalization of financial market. The International Finance Corporate, IFC, the private arm of the World Bank, issued the first ringgit-denominated Islamic bond in 2004, marking Malaysia's designation as an Islamic capital market centre. The Malaysian government has developed a comprehensive plan that includes strategic goals, recommendation and vision for the period of strategic development or developed market. Okay, now we move to the stock market integration and financial crisis. Okay, the first point is the financial crisis had an impact on ASEAN's stock market integration. In comparison to the pre-crisis period, the major Asian stock market have grown increasingly integrated in the post-crisis period. The improved stock market integration is seen to be aided by ongoing effort in the region to speed up financial market integration and efficiency following the crisis. And the second one is dynamic links between stock markets and stock markets are minimal. Okay. So, according to research from Shashmura 2001, economic could benefit from further stock market liberalization and making their stock markets more accessible to international investors. Okay, and the last one is the most lucrative Islamic stock markets have been in emerging nations, whereas developed countries stock market have been sluggish, which means the market appear to be more volatile in developing countries, relatively thin marketplaces. It also worth noting that the more volatile market offer greater average returns. Clearly, we can see that financial adage that the bigger the risk, the higher the reward. Okay. The Islamic stock market were not immune to the global financial crisis. The global financial crisis had a negative impact on all Islamic stock markets, just as it had on conventional stock markets. The reduced and even negative average returns for all of the stock markets under consideration plainly reflect this effect.
Moving on to development of Islamic capital market, there are three phases. stated in the article. The first one is Islamic Modern Finance Interregnum to Revival and Restoration. Sharia was neglected during an interregnum, especially regarding economic and financial affairs, when Islam's social and economic institutions were superseded by Western models. This marks the start of modern Islamic finance. Islamic finance then entered a revival and recovery stage. The second phase is innovation and processing. In this phase, Sharia scholars began to creating a range of hybrid nominees, employing single nominate contract structures and several nominee contract configurations, not only using existing nominee contract and structures. The IDB, also stand for Bank for Islamic Development, itself is an exclusive and globalizing effect that enable cross-fertilization and the interchange of ideas. The third phase is development in transaction, where there are development in equities, funds, immobilized funds, prohibited activities, and also factoring. Since the first sukuk issue in 1990, a global company based in Malaysia has achieved substantial headway on the Malaysian Islamic bond market. Market development included attempts to enable an efficient issuing process, price detection, and expand the investor base, establish a benchmark yield, secondary liquidity, and strengthen the regulatory environment. Another major milestone was made in 2002 when the Malaysian government issued the first sukuk, the first global sovereign to raise 900 million USD. In 2006, a sukuk was launched on the Malaysian market, employing ideas like Mudharabah Musyarakah and Ijarah. The issuers included government-linked firm in Malaysia. The 750 million USD exchangeable sukuk Musyarakah by Khazanah, the government investor company, to sell a stake in Telecom Malaysia, was a significant example.
Okay, next part is a transaction of the Islamic contract capital market. The Islamic system disapprove of any exploitation or injustice on the part of any the parties involved. To achieve this objective, the Sharia advised some prohibition and recommendation some ethic. There are 4 types of contract. First is contract voidable contract, which is a contract that is legal in asal. It contains all of element of the contract but illegal in the wasfi. Next is a form of voidable contract. For example, Ahmad said to Farouk, "I'll sell you my car if Qasim sell to me his car." And third is a legal status of fasid contract. Without the agreement of either party, a voidable contract must be cancelled. And the last is a void contract. Contract that do not meet the criteria for the offer and acceptance, subject matter, consideration, possession or delivery, or contain certain illegal exterior qualities are considered batil. And next is a basic Sharia principle for Islamic financial product and service. First is Mudharabah, which is profit sharing. It allow the owner of capital to invest his money in a specific project without getting involved in the management of that capital, and it restrict his obligation to the amount pledged. Second is Musyarakah, who is a profit and loss sharing. Sharia scholars have expanded on the Musyarakah premise by proposing decrease Musyarakah or Musyarakah Mutanakisah as a new financial contract. And next is Murabaha, who is trade with markup or cost plus sale. And next is by Bitamal Ajil, which is deferred payment sale. By Bitamal Ajil is similar to Murabaha in that the financier agree to acquire the asset need for resale to the customer at a higher price agree upon the parties concerned. Next is buy a salam with advance purchase, and the next is istisna, who is purchase order. This is a sale and purchase agreement, which is the seller agrees to produce or construct the items specified in the agreement. And lastly is ijara, who is lease financing. It manfaat or benefit or the right to utilities and item of piece of equipment according to the contract. The lessor lease an asset and or equipment to the client for certain rental price for predetermined length of time. I think that's all from me and our group. Thank you for watching.